So this is 1984, basically.
Oh, I was going with the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. No, the whole. I'm reading the books of the enemy.
Yeah, no, literally Spanish Inquisition. And you have to know evil to fight evil. One of the Dominican orders has that line somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, now that your glasses are off. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here for the final episode of Gaiden. Not Legend of the Galactic Heroes, just Gaiden, The Spiral Labyrinth, the 1999 Season 2 part of the thing. Obviously, next episode we'll go into Season 1, I think the first 4 episodes of that, which is called Something Else. It's not called Something Else, it's called Something that is else to that. Anyway, you any thoughts? Obviously, we don't do the recaps anymore. We just go over what we think about last episode and anything that stuck out to us. Should Dusty be a gray character?
Yeah. I mean, he has gray tunic, military tunic, gray hair, freckles.
Well, no, he has green everything. I'm saying, shouldn't he have been like more grayscale character? Missed opportunity.
I think he looks gray. Do you think it looks green?
He is green. We've discussed many times before he was green. He's got green eyes. He's got green hair. He's got a green tunic.
I mean,
are you colorblind?
No. He looks.
I'm not asking that like sarcastically. I'm literally asking, are you colorblind?
No, I'm not colorblind. It looks grayer to me. It has green. Greenish.
No, he's very green. He's 100% green. It'd be easier to find parts of him that aren't green.
I mean, Dusty. We're talking about Dusty. We're not talking about
Dusty Attenborough. Yes, I know which characters are which.
Yeah.
Although I don't know Waylon, who you just said.
Yeah, wenli. Yeah. I said them.
Well, there's a hyphen between them, so I tend to try and put a space in the middle. But also, I call him Yang because no one else in the show is called Yang, so it's not confusing. I understand. Conversation we had before is that his first name or his his given name,
patronym, surname is coming first.
No, that's no. What I meant to say. The problem is that I was going to say something. All I can remember now is surname, and I'm like, "What's the word for first name?" I can't remember all of a sudden.
That would be this first name, yeah.
Well, let's give it. No, there's like surname, and then there's like one word for first name too, and I can't remember what it was. I prefer to try and use the one word version rather than the 2 word, which is first name. Anyway, his given name is Wenli, but everybody calls him Yang, and Yang is one word. It's one syllable. I just go with the easier thing, despite how much wordage I put out there to describe why I use it. Again, there's no one else in his family directly. So I can say Yang without having to worry about like a sister or a mom or anyone showing up.
Dad is dead, so. Although he was divorced, his parents were divorced, so I guess he has a mom somewhere.
Well, we got the, I want to say uncle. I can't remember exactly what the relation was, describing to us the fact that they couldn't get, because they were on the mother's side, that they couldn't get him back, which implies that the mother wasn't alive. Because otherwise, why would they be doing it on her behalf if she wasn't around or doing it herself?
Yeah. Or she didn't want to, which is weird. Anyway,
I don't know.
But
my aunt tried to buy me as a kid, so I can't tell you anything about weird family relationships.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, from the perspective of why would his parents' family be trying to get him back from his dad if his mother was actively around? Or, I mean, actively alive at the very most. At least, rather. And just throwing that out there is my perspective on things. Yeah, families can be weird. So nothing is off the table.
I mean, she couldn't be interested, but the family might be interested. Especially when he became famous. And just saying it retroactively. Like, oh, we were always interested in your livelihood and all that. Now that you're a hero of the Alliance, of course, that doesn't hurt. But still, none of that gets explored. just gets mentioned. That's it. But in this last episode and a couple last episodes, I enjoyed more the action focus on Wenli. No, there's no N there, or Yang, rather than the whole mystery thing. At first, I was like, oh, that might be interesting, but now I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I'm like, and yeah, whatever. You're gonna tell me, and that's gonna be that.
I mean, over the course of over 100 episodes, it might be valuable to know that there's an intelligence network working between the Empire and the Free Planets Alliance.
Is it still working though?
We have no indication one way or the other. I mean, that it was implies, I mean, an intelligence network is more than two people.
True. But also if there were suspicions on the
guy
Imperial
who was getting
side
promoted to be the plumber, as he says, plug the holes, died in the battle immediately leading up to it. So,
but the fact
as
that
far as we know, not a lot of people know about it, or not know about it, know what was going on. Especially because a couple of people that we saw meeting with Cosell before that also died in the second battle of Tiamat.
So all the people who conveniently could have fixed the problem for the Empire are dead.
No, one of those people survived at least. What was his name? He's right up here at the Fleet Admiral. He is Zayton. Zayton left that room that Cosell was in, and as far as we know, he survives the second battle of Tiamat. Also, now, if they say in this episode, oh, and then Zayton died, and then never mind, all bets are off.
But also the possibility is that the Empire didn't realize that there was a league, right? A network. And instead of closing it down, they fed it false information. So it might still be active, but the information might not be as reliable.
Well, literally, he said plug the holes, not put weird shit through the holes.
I mean, it would be weird. It would be just information that just wasn't as reliable.
Okay, you put that into my metaphor within 5 seconds.
Double agent. Or triple agent, basically.
Okay, so the plumber is going to push triple agents through holes. Your version of my metaphor doesn't work at all.
No, I'm not using that metaphor.
Says, I'm going to be promoted, and I'm going to be a plumber in this position, plugging holes, and I'm working with that metaphor of saying, pushing weird shit through holes. And I say, okay, you don't like my weird shit metaphor. You say something. You say, okay, triple agent. So you're going to be a plumber pushing triple agents through holes. That doesn't make any sense.
More like putting a rotor-rooter down the hole.
That would be fixing the plug. It's basically what I said, which is what Cosell said. Now you're not living up to your own metaphor.
No, because the leak implies that the water is going somewhere else. Not that it's
clogged.
He's
plugging holes. He's not.
Yeah. A plug hole.
No, yeah, no. That has nothing to do with the leak going somewhere else. He's fixing leaks. He's not. Like, leaks don't go to a location that you want them to. They're leaks. That's what a leak is. I mean, there's a difference between a drain and a leak, right? Like, if your roof is leaking, that's bad, no matter what. There's no place in the roof that's supposed to leak. Versus a drain, which I guess is a leak that's intentional. Although, to be fair, your drain isn't supposed to leak either. It's supposed to be a drain. Look, all I'm saying is you called my analogy bad for some reason, and I'm saying that your analogy doesn't work at all.
I'm not using an analogy. I wasn't until you decided to take the words I was using and put them in your analogy.
No. I was using Cosell's analogy, which was that he's a plumber fixing leaks.
Remember,
and I said you're pushing weird shit through your holes, which is Cosell's analogy. And you're like, no, it's not weird shit at all. It's like, no, because you're not using an analogy. I'm saying it's weird shit in the analogy. I feel like if I were Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra, and that I'm speaking in an analogy language, and you're like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Now we both need to fight a weird mystery monster together in order to figure out how this is all going to come together.
Let's go back to that meeting. If he died, somebody knows
before
that
the
there
meeting.
leaks.
Before the meeting with Kristoff.
Problem.
No, before the meeting with Kristoff, he meets with Muckenberger and Zeitel. There might have been somebody else in the hallway. A minor character that I don't recall. But those were the two. Well, no, not Muckenberger. Maybe Muckenberger was there. Shit, sorry. There's a gray-haired guy. He's zooming back down over here. It is somebody else that died, though. Not Keith. Somebody. I think it was Strider. Not Muckenberger. Muckenberger may have been there, but it was definitely Strider and Zeitel.
Okay.
But only one of those two people survived that.
They gave the order to him that after this battle, he was to get a promotion to deal with the problems in Imperial intelligence. Correct? That's the whole analogy. That's the issue to make sure that
the analogy is that he's getting that promotion to become effectively a plumber to fix holes.
Yeah, to fix the problems, right?
Well, again, the difference between plugging holes and then feeding them
fixing
shit, which would be your metaphor of giving them false information.
No. Fixing. He's gonna fix the situation, right?
Okay, well, if we're gonna what he said, I'm pretty sure it was closer to plugging holes than it was to fixing holes.
If you plug a hole, you're fixing a hole. It no longer is a problem.
Well, once again, I'm still leaning back on your feeding them false information, which again is different from because feeding them false information would be
that's my whole point.
Would be leaving the hole open versus plugging a hole, which is eliminating the intelligence network.
Yes, that was my original point.
As I know, as upset as you're getting, not upset, not flippant, exasperated. As exasperated as you're getting with this, I feel like this is the kind of conversation you'd have if, like, we were, like, wiretapping somebody and they were using analogies and we're, like, trying to figure out what that actually means. He's going to plug the hole. Well, does that mean fixing the hole? Or is he going to feed weird shit through the hole?
Going back to what I'm saying, he dies. But whoever gave him the order knows that he has a problem.
Again, we don't know who gave him that order. You said they ordered him, and I feel like your they was the people that I just mentioned before, Schrader and Zeitel, and there's no indication that they ordered him to do that. So the people who died at the second battle team might not have been the people that ordered him. Because once again, he had that meeting with Kristoff. Kristoff's already walking down the hall to get to the meeting when those people are leaving. So assumedly, he called for that meeting with Kristoff and also had meetings with these people, irregardless of that calling for Kristoff.
Yeah, no. Forget the people in the room because
they weren't in the room. They left before he got there. The chronology isn't very important to detail.
No,
as Jack Reacher once said.
But this problem is that we're not talking. This is a immaterial detail to what I'm about to say. If he got to be promoted, he comes from that order for promotion comes from a higher command, from somebody who probably wasn't in the fleet because their job wasn't to fight battles, was to do intelligence. They came from
just a point of order here. In this show, people have responsibilities independent of their military rank. So you'll see like a captain who is also in charge at headquarters of taking care of this and that, or an admiral who's also chief of, logistics operations and whatnot. So
that's the standard.
But I just mean that you have your military intelligence officers who are also fleet admirals, things like that. It's just because he's an admiral and being promoted has nothing to do with the fact that he's also in charge of rooting out the moles in the intelligence network.
Yeah, I know he wouldn't have what's called a combat command. If you're intelligence, you're doing intelligence, which is support usually. If you're in a combat command, you're in a combat command, whatever the rank might be, right? Captain or whatever. Ranking is rank. So I understand that. But whoever gave him the order to promote him to a support command, which what intelligence is, right? Would come into play after the battle. Like, oh, I know you're busy with this. We need to deal with this first. Then when you're done with that, here's your order to switch commands and be part of intelligence, right? Get a desk job, as I like to say. So, but he dies. The situation for which he would be giving a promotion still exists.
But we don't know
Now,
how many people are in the loop.
Whoever, at least one person knows or suspects, which is the person that gave them the order to, give them the promotion and transfer.
We don't know who's in the loop, though.
We don't need to know how many people are in the loop.
We don't know who's in the loop. The person who gave him the order would be in the loop. We don't know how many people are in the loop. We don't know if the person that's in the loop died in the second battle of Tiamat.
They wouldn't be.
You don't know that.
Because they wouldn't be in a combat command.
You are just automatically assuming that this world works the way that the real world does.
But you just told me it does. Like, you have people who are doing logistics.
No, I said that fleet admirals are fucking in the same positions as the people who are doing logistics work and everything else. That they're still operating on the battlefield.
Well, that's different from having their rank. One thing is their rank, other their command. So you're saying somebody who is in a combat command could also be doing something completely different that has nothing to do with combat?
Right.
How would they manage
to
both
what
jobs?
I've seen on the show, I don't know. It's a fucking anime. At some degree, you gotta have to let the world building happen, I guess. Again, I also be influenced by DNT as well, so I don't know how much this forms into this show.
I mean, we've seen at least in the Alliance that Yang is not in a combat command. He's sent to do some other thing, and then he's sent to the prison. So he has
he's
one
between
command
orders at the moment. Remember? Well, he was. Now he is again. In that he was given the investigation before he was supposed to be given an actual command. Assumedly, he'd be doing both at some point.
Probably not.
Again, I understand where you're coming from. The point of fact is that you use the real world to build up your expectations for the fantasy, or not the fantasy, the world that we were watching, because that's the only point of reference that you have. Well, I guess technically not. We're connoisseurs of media, so at some point we have all the world building we've ever seen to build off of our expectations. So often why I use the words jaded when it comes to my own thing. It's hard to, oh wow, they destroyed a planet in Macross, when I'm also watching Gurren Lagann at the same time, which is half a galaxy-sized mech standing on top of a galaxy, or sorry, half the universe-sized mech standing on top of galaxies. Like, oh, it's really hard for me to parse the difference between these two things now.
I mean, that's how it makes sense to me. But if that's not the way it works, then that person might be dead. But again, if it's supposed to work closer to how real life works, then someone, again, the people, individual or whatever, it's like, I need this to be investigated. You're a smart guy. I'm going to pull you from combat command so you can be, REAR guy studying this because it's important. But the problem still remains. So if
it might be a staffing issue because we keep talking about how short on people they are.
I mean, this is the Empire. Are the Empire sides?
Well, I mean, it's both sides. Well, you're talking about the Empire right now. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess technically the only leap we could take on that is the fact that I've done the math before based on how many people are at per battle. And the Empire ships have, 25 to 30 more people on them? Actually, I think it's 40 more people per ship than the Alliance does.
Yeah, but we don't know how the population of the Empire, how much the population is of military age, of which population, or I mean, there's supposed to be.
The discussion we had before was more so that the Alliance ships might be working more towards a skeleton crew, or be more automated, or something of that nature.
Yeah. Although there might be limitations because of the nature of the Empire, the nobility are only people who can be officers or whatever, right? So.
Well, we already know that.
Yeah, so
Cosell was I can't remember the words they used. he is of the ground. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Obviously, also Sharp's company is coming into my head. That sort of
commoners,
situation.
they're commoners. Yeah, they're commoners.
That's the word. I don't know why that was so hard to come to my brain. So it was very odd, he says, that Cosell was getting that kind of promotion. But that's what that is. And the implication being that nobility only reaches those heights.
So yeah, there's that. Either way, there's a possibility that whoever gave him the order is still alive and then might have decided to either deal with it himself if they could, or get someone else to deal with it. And that person said, no, wait a minute, we don't need to seal the holes. We need to change the flow.
Well, plug them is what he said.
Seal, plugs, same thing.
Well, technically, sealing it makes it so you can never open it again. A plugged hole, you can unplug. This is why you're not going to work well as an intelligence agent. You're not using the metaphors properly. You're going to get people confused out in the battlefield and killed.
Yes, fine.
If I say go seal that hole, and you seal it, and I wanted it plugged,
yeah,
we're all dead.
Yeah. They might have decided to change tack. So even if the intelligence network is still there, it might not be. My point was all along that it might not be giving current reliable information.
Yes.
It might even lead to traps for the Alliance, in a reversal, like, oh, yes, I got this very reliable information from the Empire. Let's go and do something. Like, oops.
I mean, it seems unlikely.
Well, that's how intelligence works.
Well, no, I mean, from the point of view that Michelson is apparently, or evidently, seeing the point of view of Siegmeister, who was of such a mind to defect that he believed in the government system of the Free Planets Alliance so much, and that they used the whole intelligence network to assist the Free Planets Alliance in the military fighting against their own empire. So it seems odd that they would just suddenly choose to funnel in false information to what end when the whole benefit of the whole thing was to benefit the Alliance.
I mean, if you get to the right person and put enough pressure, they might, if they get discovered, it's like, oh, we know you're a spy, work with us or else,
Would that be considered a spy?
Yeah, it becomes someone's double agent to a triple agent.
Well, you're not. Are you a triple agent? Are you even an agent? Well, you're an agent,
you're always
clearly.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's an element of you're not. One of them. It only takes one of them to be a triple agent. Everybody else in this whole network could be actual.
Yeah.
Because
spy
master or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
The guy who's giving the information to Siegmeister is the only whole, really. Everybody else in the old intelligence network could be doing their job as prescribed by Imperial intelligence. It's how the information is getting sent. So, just one person.
Yeah.
Right, so everybody else, there's not a whole network of people that could get squeezed if everyone's doing their, legitimate jobs. They have no concept of how the information that they're sending in to their superiors is being used against the Empire.
But you do know the person that is, if you find out who is the one leaking, and you get to that one person.
Right. I mean that the information about the leak might only be the leak itself. So if you got a whole network of operatives that are collecting information for Imperial. Sorry, I said something weird. Imperial intelligence, and they're all doing their jobs correctly. It had nothing to do with the leak itself, and the leak is literally at the top. Then there's nobody to squeeze to get the information about the leak from, other than the leak itself.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Right. I'm just saying. Well, no, because you said earlier something about you squeeze the right person, they give you information, you find out where the leak is coming from, that sort of thing. But it wouldn't be like a bunch of random people all in cahoots about supporting this anti-imperial narrative. It would just be literally one guy who just is in the right position in Imperial intelligence.
Yeah, that's what you do mole hunts. That's what it is. You start putting false information out there, and if the enemy reacts to it, then you know it. Remember, you probably seen movies about Pearl Harbor,
The
right?
Invitation. Oh, you're gonna go Invitation Game. Invitation Game was we can save this ship full of sailors if we give them the information that we've gotten from Enigma code from the Enigma machine. But we should probably hold on to this for a more important thing, because once we use it, they'll know we've broken their code. Because that's literally, I feel like, the best example of what you're saying. We can't let them know that we've broken in on this, otherwise we'll never be able to use it again.
Yeah, or what happened in Pearl Harbor where they discovered that the Japanese were monitoring, not Pearl Harbor, Midway. They were monitoring the communications out of Midway. So basically, they sent a false signal saying, "Oh, Midway is running out of water." The Japanese say, "Oh, we detected that Midway is running out of water, right? Fresh water." So since they had already broken the Japanese code, they realized, oh, the Japanese know about this. So they fed false information, kind of a little mohoned, to about Midway, so that the Japanese would pick it up, so they could verify that what they were talking about was, they actually figured out the correct code. Because I think they called Midway J or something. They didn't know what J was, but if we send Midway and say, "Oh, J is running out of water," and that's the signal we sent to Midway, that means that J means Midway, which means we understand how their code works. We actually have broken it. At least as far as Midway is concerned, right? So they use false information because Midway wasn't running out of water, fresh water. I think something about the salinization plant or something, and so on and so forth.
I guess
Right.
my confusion in that is I don't know if that falls under the realm of a mole hunt.
Well,
that sounds more like intercepted transmissions.
It is part of a mole hunt in the sense that, in this case, it's just intercepted communication. But if, for example, you talk about people, you kind of do the same thing, right? If you suspect this person of giving false information and you have a way of verifying on the other side, like, oh, let's say that you tell this person, "Oh, we're going to deploy a fleet to this location," right? Like, okay, and he passes the information, and then you see the Alliance moving another force to block that supposed fleet that's going to be there, right? It could be accurate information. It could be like, yeah, I'm giving you a heads up, right? But I'm giving you, say, it could be something like time. It could be, we're going to move the fleet, but we're going to move it in 10 days. Now we're going to move it in 5. So now you see the Alliance scrambling, to get earlier there. It's like, aha, this person is passing information, because all other things being equal, the fastest and best way or only way the Alliance could have known that we were going to move that fleet was through him, the person that we told, right? And if it's not that person, then you kind of keep following them. Now it's another whole situation. You keep following the tunnels that the mole has made until you finally get to the warren of the mole, right? You keep feeding stuff down there until you get to it and you find it, right? Where it all ends.
Yep. So I think I exhausted all of my interest into this mole conversation.
Yeah.
You said, I'm not really interested in this mystery at all, and then we had a half an hour conversation about the mystery elements of the story.
I said I'm not really interested because the story doesn't seem to be very interested in it.
I thought it was pretty interesting, specifically how we didn't spend a lot of time figuring it out, but more so that I feel like Yang has been getting hints and clues, and then sometimes he's been like, and then goes to move a bunch of books into boxes. And doesn't talk about it for the rest of the episode.
Also, he admits that it wasn't his work, that he said it in the last minute or so of the last episode. Oh, this is my conjecture based on the work of someone else. Like, most of this stuff was done by
if he had been reassigned to Waconia, he wouldn't have solved this at all.
Yeah, and it was also Christopher who's sending the false letters in name of the ex-wife that was already dead. So
yeah, which either implies that Alex knew that was who was sending the letters, because he also knew it was being signed by the ex-wife, which was already dead. So I guess maybe technically the one question Gang never asked was, what was the send from address? Like, where are these letters coming from, right?
Yeah.
So I guess Alex may have known that, and that's why he sent him to Iconia. Because that's who sent him there.
Yeah.
It just seems very happenstance. Because also, if he'd gone to Iconia and just never bothered to talk to Kristoff,
yeah,
it all just falls apart. Like, all of it. Like, we didn't even need the talk to Rosas. I don't think that his part contributed anything.
The 2 episodes, the 3 episodes was with Rosas, because it's listen to Rosas dictate his own book. Then we have the interview with Rosas, and then Rosas dies, and we talk to his granddaughter. So,
okay, literally maybe 5 minutes of Rosas actually accounted for anything, which was Rosas's recounting of what happened on the bridge of when Bruce Ashby died, which was to indicate that his ship was out of position, got fired on from a mysterious ship in the area.
Yeah, and that was it.
But again, I guess it's like in a real investigation, you can't get to the information you need without wallowing through a bunch of information that's pointless.
Not even red herrings. We did a lot of speculation, but that was us. But the narrative
there was a red herring. Well, I guess technically maybe it's not. I was going to say the argument they had outside of the politics building that Bruce Ashby was going to retire as fleet admiral and then go into a life of politics, and then the politician yelling at about they were going to form a military junta with the 730 Mafia in charge, and that's why it was a thing. But that might have been the counterplay from Imperial intelligence signaling that Bruce Ashby was a threat to democracy. So maybe it's not a red herring, but it kind of also feels like red herring. I guess the real red herring for me was telling me what happened to all of the 730 Mafia after Bruce Ashby died, because I have that whole fucking timetable of events, and none of it means anything. Because, telling me how every one of them died, for example, trying to find the connecting points and all that was a red herring. I didn't even need to know that they died. It has nothing to do with any of it.
Well, I mean, we already knew they died because Rosas was the only one that was alive. So, yeah.
I mean, but telling me how they died didn't matter. I mean, I don't need to know that they were dead anyway. Literally every part of their lives had nothing to do with the death. I guess maybe if I was like looking for motivation, right? What was the motive of the crime? That I would kind of want to know everybody involved. But ultimately, if your idea is, oh no, it was actually the Imperials that killed him, then I don't need everybody's motivations. It's like, oh god, was this dead body on the battlefield, was he killed by one of his friends? Was this friendly fire? Oh no, he was shot in the head from the front, because the bullets were coming from the front. Oh.
Yeah, well, usually that's where the enemy's at.
Well, I guess that week of investigating all of his friends was worth wasted.
A bullet between the eyes. That's sniper. Okay, there you go. Next.
But then again, I guess if you were like, hey, over here, and your buddy turns around, you shoot him in the head and then turn his body around so it looks like he got shot forwards. Perfect crime. All I had to do was get through boot camp, get all those promotions, years of my life, and finally I got you back for that one prank you pulled on me in high school.
Damn. That's one hell of a revenge plot right there.
Anyway, any final thoughts before we get into the episode?
No.
All right, let's hop on into it. There's also that very initial element of the song that makes me think of Voyager.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes off into its own thing, but no, not more Voyager, like Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine, yeah.
Well, it's been a thing in my head for a while where I was literally thinking, da-da-da. I was like, what Star Trek show is that? The thing is, I didn't watch Deep Space Nine. Well, I watched some of it. It didn't hook me. Well, for one thing, I was already watching Babylon 5 back to back with Voyager on UPN. Okay, here's a quick poll. Do you know the channel that Babylon 5 originally aired on?
Yes, because that's where Hercules and Cleopatra 2040 something also came out as well.
So here's the
But
thing.
it didn't. It lasted only about a
Hercules
year.
back on Fox back in the day.
Yeah.
I think it was Fox.
No,
it was the same channel that. Oh god, what's his name? It's Bruce. The actor's name is Bruce something. It's not coming to me. He's got the really strong Jin, Evil Dead.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Bruce. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
The Western, sci-fi Western.
The Adventures of Briscoe County.
Jr. Yeah. I believe that came on Fox as well. Because I
saw it on TNT. I think it's originally from TNT.
Oh no, you're right. It was on TNT. Yeah, well, I know I didn't watch Hercules on TNT because Hercules also came on the same channel that Young Hercules came on. And Xena.
I think it was UP10. UP10 was the channel.
You mean UPN?
Oh, but no, it was UP10. Was it UP10?
Well, the original channel that Babylon 5 came out on was like SPTEN or something like that. It was a Turner channel, but it was an original before TNT. Anyway, my point, since we're into the episode, was that nobody fucking watched that channel. Nobody knew that channel fucking existed. It
was supposed to be a new network, and it just
kind of like
UPN. Yeah.
彼の父親は男爵家の分家を継いでライヒスリッターの称号を与えられていましたが、貴族社会の末端に連なる者には貴族の矜持を保つためには様々な努力が必要だったのでしょう。
There's that profile shot I put on the board.
内務省社会秩序維持局にあって民主共和思想家などのけしからぬことを考える平民どもを弾圧することに帝国貴族としての自己の存在意義を見出したのでしょう。彼は職務に精霊し、思想犯の検挙数や拷問によって自白を得た回数などで常に同僚を圧倒したようです。同僚たちですが、
There's a lot of information that I don't know where he got.
Yeah.
Like Yang is just saying this like he knows it.
民主共和主義の著作などを彼は家にまで持ち帰り、敵を知るために熱心に研究したようです。結果、彼の家には
So this is 1984 basically.
Oh, I was going with the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. No, the whole I'm reading the books of the enemy.
Yeah, no, literally Spanish Inquisition. And you have to know evil to fight evil. One of the Dominican orders has that line somewhere.
こうしてジークマイスター青年は銀河帝国の不公正な社会を変革するために力を尽くそうと決意したようです。
Okay, that image looks more like the one that I have on the board.
政治思想の差異を公然化することは生命の危険を意味します。ジークマイスターは用心し、共和主義思想は裏の顔に封じ込め、表の顔で士官学校から帝国軍に進み、軍の中で栄達して。
So I don't think you have to outwardly graduate from military school. You just have to graduate from military school.
オルガナイザーとして傑出した才能を持っていたようです。彼は巧妙に、そして慎重に銀河帝国の
And then one day at a beer hall poof. Oh, never mind.
父親が老いてますます変質的になり、思想犯弾圧の辣腕も空転することが多くなる一方で、息子の方は黙々として父親が
Look at that, these plugging holes. Who says that?
Yeah.
And you think this is gray?
Grayish.
Greenish is more like it. I'll read another year and I'd add to the lore.
ミヒャールゼンという同志を得るのです。ミヒャールゼンは男爵家の当主でしたが、財産をめぐる親族との争いから貴族社会に不信の念を抱いたようです。ですが、ミヒャールゼンの方はジークマイスターほどに確固たる意志や確信を抱いていたわけではない。
I mean, Sigmar should have affected, so clearly not.
秘密の組織の中で地方を固め、能力と権勢を発揮することに喜びを見出していたようなところが見受けられます。
Well, we know who that guy looked like.
それが彼の情熱の源だったのかもしれません。 そしてジークマイスターによって着工されたものがミヒャールゼンによって完成を見たのです。それはおそらく銀河帝国の歴史上最も優秀で危険な反国家的スパイ網だったのでしょう。この時代憲兵本部や社会秩序維持局の活動が特に低下していたわけでもなかったのですか
I
ら、
mean, we've already covered the fact there's fucking thought police.
巧妙なもの
So-
だとしてようというものです
Also, you left paperwork scattered all over the place. You might have like thrown a match behind you.
亡命を考えるようになったのです。自由の国への憧れはもともとあったし、築き上げたスパイ網はミヒャールゼンに委ねておいて心配はない。そして何より妻と娘を避暑地のホテル火災で失ったことが母国に対する彼の執着を捨てさせたのでしょう。帝国歴419年、宇宙歴727年、当時46歳のジークマイスター大将は自ら望んで5年ぶりの前線勤務に就きました。そして前線から自らの手でシャトルを操縦して逃亡。事態に気づいた味方の追撃を振り切り、
That I'm sure the other guys thought was just a couple of droids.
同盟軍の哨戒網にたどり着いたのです。亡命後のジークマイスター提督は自己の信念の実現のために進んで同盟政府に協力しようとしました。同盟政府を自由と平等の政治的理想の体現者と信じていたのです。その真摯さと誠実さは当時の同盟政府にとっても
Yeah, fuck that guy and his idealism.
宇宙歴728年から738年にかけてジークマ
They
イス
look
タ
a
ー
map.
は統合作戦本部の分室の一つを預けられ、そこから1万光年を隔てた帝国内部のスパイ網を遠隔操作したのです。
10,000 light years.
功績は
Wow.
当然と称
Well, it's a
され
it's a galaxy, so
る
yeah.
ものはありませんから、この分室の存在すら公にはされていません。それでも同盟政府はジークマイスターをそれなりに厚遇したと言えるでしょう。中将待遇の軍属として高給を与え、立派な感謝を提供し、閣下の称号を授けました。ですが
They treated him as, or they actually made him a vice admiral.
同盟の欠点が化粧
Let's say they treated him as, so I don't know what that implies.
言うまでもな
Do I need to move him up
理想
the
国家
ranks?
などではなく、腐敗と矛盾を抱え込んだ現実の存在だということを彼も思い知らされたのです。
Also, clearly got to add a defector box to the people.
それを理由に再亡命するわけにもいかず、現実に裏切られた理想家の昇進を抱いて王々として楽しまぬ日々を送っていたのでしょう。そして738年、そんな彼の前に
Bruce
王の
Ashby.
新星が出現したのです。
But why Bruce Ashby?
この年、ファイアザード聖域の戦いで同盟軍を完全勝利に導
That's
いた
my favorite Pokemon.
730年マフィアの存在がクローズアップされました。
Fiozard.
ブルース・アッシュビー、アルフレッド・ローザス、フレデリック・ジャスパー、
The
ウォー
Rosas.
リック、ファン・チューリン、ジョン・ドリンカー・コープ、ビットリオ・ディ・ベルティーニ、いずれも30歳に満たぬ輝かしくも精神な人材集団でした。自由惑星同盟の市民たちが彼らに熱狂したように、当時56歳のジークマイスターも彼らに惹かれたのでしょう。彼は同盟軍の若い英才に自分の夢をかけることを決意したのです。
But why them?
彼ももともと軍人であり、
Like one success, boom. Those are my guys.
ところがあったのは当然のことと言えたでしょう。
I guess one success is what's made gang this whole
共和
time.
制による宇宙の再統一を実現してくれるのはこの若い颯爽たる騎士団であると信じた。いや、信じた
I'm gonna say this out loud. It's really hard to go from this motion and into this motion and look like a good guy.
その後の各人の運命を微妙に左右するかもしれません。ジャスパーやウォーリックが選ばれた
Yeah.
Like a dance number, like a disco number. That's what it's like.
Yeah, unless you're doing the sprinkler, it's real hard to.
内閣の情報を最大限に生かし得たのはブルース・アッシュビーの再刊であったことも確かでしょう。ミヒャールゼンからの情報は全てが正確で必要不可欠なものばかりであったわけではなく、玉石混交というよりはマシというところだったようです。情報を収集
I don't know what
する
wheat
に
and
しても
tears
伝達す
is.
るにしても限
I
界
don't
があ
know
り
what
ます。
wheat is. Obviously, I don't know what tears
伝
are.
達された後に状況が変化する場合もあるでしょう。情報というのは生き物なのです。それも短命
I guess Bruce didn't share it with anybody then, because everybody else in the 730 Mafia seemed very confused
Yeah.
about his orders.
アッシュビーは情報という生き物を扱う名人だったのです。ジークマイスターを介してミヒャールゼンがもたらした情報をアッシュビーは最大限に活用した。
Maybe they killed him because he was becoming corrupt. Like he was leaning into the whole politics thing.
つまりそれは同盟のために情報を提供する組織ではなくなり、アッシュビーの部訓に協力する組織となったのです。
ジークマイスターはそれで良しとしたんだろうか。
ほぼ7年の間、両者の間に特に不協和音は生じていません。それが生じる
By the way, I love how we like learned all of this and aren't just being told it at some point.
軍人としての最高位を極めた後のことであったでしょう。アッシュビーが政治の世界に乗り出そうとしたとき、
Oh, look, that thing I just
そ
said.
の矛盾は整合されたか、それとも破局に向かったか。
話の腰を折って悪かったな。続けてくれ。
言うまでもなく、実際にはそのような状況にはなりませんでした。第二次ティアマト海戦でアッシュビンが死んだからです。第二次ティアマト海戦が行われた宇宙歴745年、帝国歴でいうと436年ですが、
You don't have to tell me the Imperial year. We're not the Empire.
軍の機密が敵に漏れているのではないかという深刻な疑惑を抱か
So,
ざるを得なかったのでしょう。
Saitsu.
軍組織内部の査察と調査が秘密裏に行われていたようです。その結果、ミヒャールゼンが
Floppy disk and CDs.
開戦の直前のことでした。しかしことは帝国軍の名誉に関わります。正式な査問や公式の捜査をするわけにはいかず、またミヒャールゼンの方も容易に証拠をつかませるようなことはありませんでした。ミヒャールゼンへの憎悪と彼を排除しようという決意は動かしがたかったものの、それを公然化するわけにはいかなかったのです。第二次ティアマト海戦の直前にケーフェン・ヒランがコーゼル大将から意味ありげなセリフを浴びせられた事実は、粛清の手がミヒャールゼンに伸びつつあったことを意味するよりも、むしろ犯人をあぶり出す意図があったのかもしれません。他ならぬコーゼル大将がミヒャールゼン追求の中心的役割を果たしていたようですから。しかしそのコーゼル大将が第二次ティアマト海戦で戦死してしまい、
On the same ship Kristoff was on too, I believe.
一つには名だたる縮小を多く失ったことから、
One every 40 seconds.
人材面の巨大な穴を埋めるため、
Oh, is that guy dead?
若手の育成と登用を図らねばならず、現存の将官を明確な証拠もなく処断するわけにはいかなくなったという事情があるでしょう。また、
That was Kelt, by the way. Kelt's not dead on my board. So, clearly that's the indication that Kelt died.
活動を休眠させたらしいことで、帝国軍にとっての差し迫った実害がなくなったと判断されたのかもしれません。いずれにせよ、この問題の処理は先に送られたのです。無論ジークマイスターにとってもアッシュビーの死は大きな影響を及ぼしました。彼は青年時代に
They was holding a picture of Ashby.
中年時代に自由惑星同盟の理想とかけ離れた現実に絶望しました。そしてブルース・アッシュビーの死と730年マフィアの解体によって精神的なとどめを刺されたのかもしれません。彼は当時まだ63歳で、老朽とは言えない年齢でしたが、引退を決意し、預けられた分室を他人に委ね、ハイネセンから100キロほど離れた農園の一室を借りて陰性してしま
Well,
い
at
ま
the
した。
very least, though, I can get rid of the question mark.
747年、風邪をこじらせ、医者も呼ばず、肺炎で死去しています。
Okay, that's murdering.
で、ミハルゼンの方は
Assassinated.
一旦休眠させた組織の活動をほとぼりが冷めるのを見計らって再開させます。彼の組織の活動は以前に劣るものではなかったようですが、受信側の能力は著しく失われていました。ジークマイスターはすでになく、何よりその情報を最大限に生かす名人
How do we know this part, though?
ブルース・アッシュビーがいないのですから。
Like the Empire side. Where's that information come from?
Yeah. I don't know. Supposedly it's what
Kristoff, yeah, but how does Kristoff know he's been on a planet in... He's like, hey, deliver this letter to the Empire for me, please.
yeah, the only thing I can think of that he, as a leader of these people coming in, although they would be junior officers, he would glean information, but this is kind of information that would be at the admiral side, which he wouldn't be part of.
All we know is that he was able to send effects through Pheasant to the families back home. But it's like, this is way more than that. How do you get secret information to your
The
prison?
Pentagon?
どういうわけか
I don't know how to open
20
center.
最初の騒動が起こりまし
So
た。
does the Pentagon.
I was talking more like a Coliseum.
中将の責任を追及する
Like the Pentagon
中将が
out on the outside of a
謝罪する事
Coliseum.
態になりましたが、その謝罪の仕方が尊大だというので、また非難の声が上がったのです。それでも正午前には騒ぎも収
And
まり、
that's when we turned on Whopper.
13時20分、最終的な一次発表が行われました。この時、参事官室から出てきたミヒャールゼン中将が、引きこもごもの士官たちを見合って肩をすくめた。その姿を目撃した者が何人もいました。ついで第二次発表が14時30分に行われ、廊下が士官たちでいっぱいになった時のことです。
And he was dead.
この日、中将と面会した人物はシュタイエルマルク大将だけでしたが、記録では
Like ever since episode 7 or 8, we knew Michelson got assassinated.
軍服姿の人物
Yeah.
が密かに部屋を出たという証言もありましたが、これではこの日軍務省にいた1万人以上が全て容疑者ということになり、証言の価値はあり
I
ま
will
せん。
say this has the setup of like a Detective Conan episode.
Yeah.
この事件は
Oh, he poked his head out and then he was dead. And it's like, oh no, he's not actually dead. It's like a fake body or
以上
something.
が
You know?
クリストフ・フォン・ケーフェンヒラーによって40年間をかけて集められた事件の概要です。
I think she did it. Imagine solving the crime via pen pal. Because basically what
Yeah.
Kristoff seems to have done.
嘘だよ。物的証拠は何もないんですよ。蓋然性は高いし。
Yeah, it's the best. It's all hearsay.
ですが、今のところ仮説に過ぎません。
その仮説が定説になるためには何が必要なんだ。
もっと多くの情報です。
官にして
Yeah, an eyewitness wouldn't hurt.
Or more than one.
Well, tea and 2 coffees.
で、アッシュビー提督の謀殺説についてはどう考える？
謀殺説はむしろ帝国軍の方にこそそれを唱える理由があったと思います。同盟の軍部と政府との間に相互不信の種をまくために。
なるほど。
Which is what you said in the next time
た
on.
だ今回はケーフェンヒラーが一連の事件への関心を引くために思案したものだと思います。本人には確認できませんでしたが。
Good flashback. Really insightful that he looked
Yeah.
down and then up.
同盟も軍事機密の名のもとに多くの歴史的事実を隠匿しています。同盟の方がまだ開放的だと信じたいですが、改善の余地は大きいですね。
そうだな。逆に考えれば、ケーヘンヒラーの説は今現在は最も説得力のある仮説だが、後日隠されている事実の一つでも明らかになれば、覆されてしまうかもしれんというわけだな。
もし一連の事件について完全な真相が明ら
By
か
the
に
way,
され
I'm
るとすれば、
glad we kept this one random
それ
cadet
は
in the whole conversation loop.
翻った時のことでしょう。
But we didn't go back to the dorms and tell everybody.
エルファシルの英雄はハイネセンの預言者になるか。
そういう過程はともかくとして何十年も経過してから真相を明らかにできるんでしょうか。生き証人が健在な今のうちでないとダメなんじゃないかな。
いや、そいつはちょっと
I guess the thing is that even if it happened decades ago, technically it's been a long time since we've entered the information age.
後世の人の方がしばしば事件の本質を把握できると思う。
I mean, if they kept documentation, that could be
存在する意味がない。
that'd be useful. Rather, if you're plotting secretly, you want to keep your documentation to a minimum, like having a bunch of papers that the secret police can find and gather.
Sure, but I mean, you know, tangential information like where you were and when.
Yeah.
それじゃあ荷物は明日改めて取りに来ますから。
どうもごちそうさまでした。
あなたでしょ。それにヤン少佐とアッテンボローさん、3人とも才能はあるけど目先は効かないタイプね。 損と承知で決めた道を行く人たちだと思うわ。だからこそ波長が合うんでしょうけど。
目先が利かないか。アッテンボローは
The daughter of an admiral.
ヤンは少佐で俺は中佐だぞ。目先が利かない割には結構出世してるじゃないか。
そうね、出世はするでしょうね。でもきっと地位以上の責任をかぶることになるわ。
おいおい、今度はお前が預言者になるか。
Yes, we're gonna have a baby. Come here, let's have a baby.
俺たちは
That's what it seemed to me.
20年後にどうなってるんでしょうね。730年マフィアのことなんか考えるとついそう思います。
So where are we walking? Didn't we drive a car here?
何もわからないよ。
Yeah.
わからない方がいいと思う。
ま、できればみんな健在でありたいものですね。
そいつは贅沢な希望かもしれないな。軍人なんかやっていると。
探偵さん、お元気ですか？私は一応元気で、その分他の人に迷惑をかけながら生きています。
1月31日、ケーフェンヒラーの遺品である書類の山を整理していたヤンのもとへ、ミリアム・ローザスからの手紙が届いていた。その内容はヤンにとってある程度予想されたもの
For
だ
the
った。
whole month and 2 episodes.
祖父の死は半ば意識しての自殺だったのです。古くなった睡眠薬を大量に服用するとき、祖父は死ぬもよし、死なぬもよしという心境だったようです。
Well, clearly more than one than the
祖
other.
父は死にたがっていました。現実より回想の方が楽しくなってきたから、もう老山の身で生を貪っている必要はないのだと言っていました。探偵さんが来て祖父の話を聞いたことが原因ではありませんから気にしないでください。矛盾す
Well,
る
good, I wasn't blaming myself up until now.
知らせておこうと思ったのです。
確かに気にしても仕方がないことだ。だが私に話をしたことで過去への旅に立つ気になったのも確かなのだろう。
いずれにしても、その事実は自分の胸にだけしまっておくべきものだ。そう決意するヤンだった。2月6日、ヤンは統合作戦本部の人事課に出頭を。
Promotion time?
これは前線勤務を示唆する状況である。
ヤン・ウェンリー少佐に配属命令を伝える。
Thought maybe he was gonna get promoted for a Coney or something.
をもって第8艦隊司令部作戦課に勤務するよう決定された。機関の最善を尽くして職務に精霊されたい。
謹んで拝命します。休暇は終わったということだな。
2月25日、アレックス・キャゼルヌの結婚式当日である。
前線勤務になるとしばらくはキャ
Hey, who's the redhead?
ごちそうになれないな。
The
Never
doctor?
mind. No longer in
次は
frame.
ヤン先輩の番ですね。ぜひ呼んでくださいよ。
Senor Yang.
ケーフェンヒラー老人の残した資料は B 級重要事項に指定された。つまり今後25年は封印というわけだ。これでよかったのか？お前さんの名前で発表するなら機密扱いは免れたと思うが。
あれはケーフェンヒラー大佐が調査したことです。私はそれをまとめただけです。25年も経ったらもっと才能のある人が出てきて定説を立ててくれるでしょう。
I mean, it'll be a generation removed.
Yeah.
歴史資料も多く公開されているかもしれない。
Back to my wife.
Who's still holding the bouquet for some reason.
偶然にしては出来すぎていた。
Well, she hasn't.
ひょっとしたらキャゼルヌ中佐が仕組んで歴史研究家志
Well, what you said earlier, yeah.
だけ夢を見させてくれたのかもしれないな。さて、3月からの新しい任務は何をもたらしてくれるかな。
But that was a story for another time.
Another time.
いくつかの階級に身を置くことになる。その中で最も在任期間の短いのは大の
Which you may remember from like episode 2 or something.
少佐の3年10ヶ月であった。
Oh, so he's literally in the longest span of his.
帝国歴
Well, this doesn't matter.
7月、惑星カプテランカの帝国軍前線基地に 幼年学校を卒業したばかりの15歳の士官が2人
I don't know if we should be watching this.
ラインハルト・フォン・ミーゼルと
This literally is spoilers.
それは2人の長き戦いの始まりだった。次回銀河英雄伝説外伝箱銀の谷第1話。友よ覚えているか、あの戦いの日々を。
Do you? Do you?
Will you survive? Can you survive?
Well, it's good to know that ultimately everything was pointless.
Yeah.
Literally, 1, all of our findings are hypothetical, and 2, they're also sealed away for 25 years.
It's like the ending of what was the first Indiana Jones movie, where like, oh yeah, we have the Ark of the Covenant secretly stored, and it's just one guy pushing a box into this giant warehouse. Like, dun, 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 dun.
Well, more so the fact that if
Ta-da.
Indiana Jones wasn't in the movie, nothing would have changed.
Yeah.
Literally, the Nazis get it, and then they kill themselves. Literally, nothing changes by his interference whatsoever.
I mean, someone else would have grabbed it.
No, the Nazis would have grabbed it. They knew where it was. They got it. They opened it. They died.
They killed.
Literally, nothing changes by Indy being at any part in the movie.
Except that the Americans now have it, I guess.
Well, they would have still had it, assumedly, because, well, I guess, does Indy tell the Americans where it was? Because that also seems really weird. Well, it's the idea that they still would have killed themselves. There would have been no Nazis there to have done anything with it.
Yeah. But if other Nazis knew those Nazis were there testing it, they would have tried to pick it up. But since Indy was there, he told the American government, who was the one who hired them to find in the first place, like, oh, okay. And that's how it ended up in American hands.
Sorry. Somewhat a little bit confused, not by the Indiana Jones conversation. What did that say the next episode was?
App 1? KAP 1?
No. It said Silver White Valley, right?
Yeah.
So this Arc 5 is telling us, this Arc 5, which is part of Season 2, is literally telling us that the next episode is Arc 1 from Season 1. Because that's what Silver White Valley is. It's the first arc from the very first season. So it's telling us to watch it in chronological order. That's why I'm confused. Because technically the next thing is called The Mutineer, and it's Arc 6. Because this is Arc 5. So it's literally not even a spoiler. That is what we should already be watching. It's just weird. Why did it tell us to go back to the first episode of the first season? Unless these all got, like, released at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, no, I guess, like, the poignant things to take away from that is the characters that were developed that make come back later.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought it was just a framing device to see basically Yang's own 730 Mafia. Or are we Yang's Mafia now? Right?
Well, no, the 730 Mafia because they all graduated at the same time, and they had like the school.
I know. But in this case, it would be the people that Yang built around himself as he goes up the ranks, right?
I don't know.
One is good at logistics. The other one is son of a journalist, so I guess he's good at investigations and strategies. Another one, you have what's his name, Fyodor, who is
big strong
very
guy.
Good with, big strong guy. Also, is good with making shit up on the spot for him and covering for him.
Is he good? Because I mean, instantly caught. So
yeah, but he was caught by somebody who was a good investigator, right? So that guy probably is gonna.
So your point is that he's good at lying to people that are bad at telling you're lying. In which case, isn't anybody good at lying at that point? Then
maybe that's not his strong point. Other than
his
being
strong point
guy.
is yeah. So
he's a strong guy, and loyal too, very loyal.
Well, depending. Again, that's just another depends.
He's
very loyal, not to his commander though. Specifically to the other random guy who literally just showed up. He's real loyal to that guy.
What else? Who else? Mason, who is also the investigator, seems to be somebody he might be get recruited or somebody he knows in the system. The fact that that girl that we talked to that he talks to in La Facile, right? Is like, oh yeah, no, it just, and then she disappears. That might be an important
El
character
Facile?
later on. El Facile, etc. Right? It seems that he was whether he knows it or not, he's been collecting these people around him, kind of like what happened with the 730 Mafia. That people coalesce around Ashby, right?
Well, again, those were everybody in one school. Same
okay,
school.
different.
No. I'm just indicating that it's a different thing because he is traveling around, like Mirai, whatever his name was, clearly much older. Pitor, maybe same age, hard to tell. But these people are disparate. They come from a bunch of different places, different times, whatnot. Versus the 730 Mafia was like literally we were all born in the same year. We graduated the same year. We might as well have been genetically engineered to be a perfect little group.
Until they weren't.
Well, yeah, because the concept that we had talked about before was that the 730 Mafia was just basically the idealized version of what Gang would want to create. Possibly, because he does like sit around thinking, is this the kind of people that I would surround myself with?
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't put them down as one for one. Also, it implies that Yang is going to commit suicide at some point in the future.
Yeah. Also, the fact that there's a thing that the fiance says to what's his name,
Alex,
like, oh, you're being so short-sighted. And I was like, that's interesting. You're going to get promoted. You sure you're going to get promoted? I'm like,
that's why I was pointing out that she's the daughter of an admiral.
Yeah.
Because they accused Alex of marrying her for a promotion or something like that. And it's like, no, it's not like that. So her saying you're short-sighted just tells me that maybe she knows a bit from her father of what the military career path is supposed to be. That's why I said when she said it, oh, daughter of an admiral.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate this overall, but it kind of reminds me a little of Macross 7. It could have been like 4 or 5 episodes instead of like 14, right? It was like,
again, I feel like if this was like D&T, it would be 2 episodes. You're like, it'd be good if this was like 4 or 5 episodes, and D&T would be like, we can do better than that. You don't need a
2 episodes.
You don't need a break.
I think you need 1 episode to introduce Yang and El Battle of El Facil. You need 1 episode where you have the conversation with Ashby. I think that was more important. Ashby could have said all the things that he spent an episode looking at the computer telling him, right? You could consolidate those things. And you could even have the episode end with him, well, kind of did end with him dying, but like the funeral, right? And talking to his daughter. So that would be the final loop of that. That's 2 episodes. Then you would have the Battle of Tiamat.
Well,
that would be a 3rd episode.
The problem is that we have that battle from Ashby telling us about it.
Yeah.
So it has to be another episode of Ashby. No, remember Ties to the Past, I believe was the episode name, where he sits down with Ashby and Ashby's drinking his cup of tea, and then we go into flashback mode where we see everything happening. So that's literally Ashby telling us.
Well, then you could have consolidated those 2 episodes in one. Like in between talking about specific battles. They're like, oh, they move here and there. It's like, oh, by the way, this is what I thought about this person, and that's what I know.
That even in your example, we have to have 2 episodes with Ashby. Specifically, I don't think we can remove anything from the first episode because that is all Yang.
Yes, yeah.
And El Facil at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you get the introduction of Yang being given the task, and then the very introduction of what the setup is for everything. And then you talk to Ashby instead of... Sorry, we keep saying Ashby. It's not Ashby, it's Rosas.
Rosas. Yeah.
Then you meet Rosas, and then you go over everything that the computer told us in that one episode, so that we just skip the computer shit. We can see him with lots of books, and then we'll assume he read the bios and everything. But then he goes to Ashby, talks to Ashby there, And then Ashby gives us everything about the 730 Mafia. And then in the next episode, we get the flashback.
That's 4 episodes.
Well, 3. I think
3
in my...
episodes.
Yeah, because I'm including he gets the mission, or gets the task with the Ashby. Rosas tells us about the 730 Mafia. That's
So
one
that's 3
episode.
episodes. 3 episodes. The 4th would be he goes straight into prison, right? Well, he doesn't get.
Yang goes to jail.
Yang goes to jail, and you have those 2 episodes where he's 3. I think the 3. Yeah, almost 3 episodes. Because one is he gets there. The second one is the rebellion, right? The riot, which wasn't much of a riot, and then the third one was the investigation, and he gets sent back. Right? He's going back with Christoph.
No,
you could have 2 episodes.
No, because it's we get there with the substitution, and then the riot, and then the investigation.
No, but the riot happens. Riot starts, and then he gets substituted. That's why the riot was the reason why he was substituted.
Because he lands, and we meet everybody, and we find out what the planet's about, and everything like that. And we meet Christoph. Then the next episode, the riot happens, and we get the substitution.
Oh, the riot. That's what I said. The riot.
Right, no, because that episode ends without them going through... No, okay, sorry. The riot ends, and the investigation happens in the 3rd episode. So, well, no, I was trying to separate it out, because when they go do the substitution and the riot starts, that episode dead ends without them doing anything. Basically, Christoph shows up, and then they start talking a little bit, and then he goes nowhere. And then the 3rd episode happens, where they go through the communication tunnels, and then Mirai comes in, everything like that. So that is 3 episodes. Okay.
There could have been 2 episodes at most, maybe 1 episode.
I think it has to be 2 episodes at minimum.
Well, yeah, 1 episode for Yang to meet Christoph and have the riot and all that, and then the second one to solve the aftermath.
Well, there's also a minor element of world building where there's the noble guy who's beating on the commoner at the prison. That guy also shows up in a lot of background scenes, and I think he's used as juxtaposition towards the noble Pressburg, I believe was his name, who is our more honorable imperial noble. Yeah. Who's also, I guess, then juxtaposed against Christoph as what a noble should be as well.
I mean, but again, that shouldn't take much time. That's part of the episode, right? You could compress a lot, because a lot of this episode is like, oh, we know they're talking. It's like, oh, well, you're here, but you had this plan, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can compress a lot of that into 2 episodes. The episode Yang arrives, meets Christoph, and the riot begins. Then you resolve the riot in 2 episodes. So now we're to 6 episodes, right? And then the 7th episode would be Christoph's death, and then going to the whole thing in the house. It's like, oh yeah, this is my this is the story, basically, as told by Christoph, right? So 7 episodes at much, half of the episodes that we had.
How many did you say?
7.
I guess I'd push it to 8. I'd include the Rose's funeral, with the daughter talking about pheasant,
that would be at the end of at the end of the story of the Battle Tiamat. You have to cut a couple of things in the Battle Tiamat, because they kind of like spend a lot of time.
Well, you didn't include it in your thing, so I'm making sure that's there. But I think you have to have an extra episode for it, because everything else that you're compacting into 7 episodes. You need a little bit of breather room between scenes at the very least.
Yeah, true.
And the funeral also introduces a side character that you haven't learned any importance about yet. But also, I really like the conversations that Yang has with Rose's daughter, so I wouldn't want to cut that, because while not narratively important, it is character building, which we do a lot of world building. I don't feel like we do too much character building, so include the bits of character building.
Yeah. So I would say, okay, 8. In order for you to have a more breathy path. But still, 8 versus 14, that means we save 6 episodes. So you could have done in 8 what you did in 14, and because it is 14 episodes, that final ending of it didn't really matter, it kind of feels like, oh, wow.
Well, I guess the real ending was finding out that this was the longest span that Yang holds in any rank in his entire life.
Yeah. Up to that moment, I think. Right?
Also a wedding,
And a
depending on
wedding,
how much you
which
care about Alex.
you didn't have to see the wedding. Just the whole bit where the
You
fiance
can't
says,
promise us a wedding and not show us a wedding.
and I mean, it was in the credits, so part of the credits said how important that was.
I'm not saying it was important. It was just nice. Also, we had a funeral and a wedding in a one arc.
Yeah.
Well, that was Spiral Labyrinth.
Legend of Galactic Heroes, Kai.
No,
Spiral
Kai
Labyrinth.
would be Dragon Ball Z. This isn't a joke. You said Kai. This isn't Kai. This is Gaiden.
Gaiden, which is extra story Labyrinth.
But specifically, this was Spiral Labyrinth. The arc was named Spiral. I assume that if you're this far into the very end of the video, you understand what show you were watching.
I hope
You're
so.
not like, didn't fall asleep in your chair and woke up and were like, what show is this? And I said Spiral Labyrinth, and you're like, what anime is Spiral Labyrinth? And just can't figure it out. At that point, if you're that interested, you're leaving a comment at the very least.
Yeah. Either way, I think it could have been compressed. And should have been compressed.
Again,
Otherwise,
in my estimation, there's two options here, which is super compressed, in which case it's like watching all of this on like 20 times speed, which is DNT, or well, I don't know if DNT has this version of this kind of stuff, or there's this, which is like watching it at 0.25 speed.
Yeah. And now we're going to tell you about the mystery. Have a cup of tea and enjoy.
I just don't think we're going to, unless any confusion that we would have based on the show has to be on the show's part at this point, which I'm much more accepting of versus DNT, which is like, oh, man, I cracked a joke a minute ago, and now I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
I like that breathing room at the very least.
Yeah, but there's breathing room and there's like...
No, that's what I do when I'm taking my notes.
Yeah.
That's not me looking down at the notes, by the way. That's me waking up to figure out, oh, fuck, now I gotta rewind. But to be fair, I do that with all the shows I'm watching. I just got problems. Anyway, final thought?
That was it.
Okay, well, once again, I've been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions. And we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.